Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Muhammad Israno Ain Biwan Ismail. My metric number 18BB04024. Now I'm going to present about the Kpj's background. Okay, Kpj is a healthcare Berhad, or can we know also as a Kpj or the group is Malaysia's leading provider of private healthcare services. Okay, the first private specialist hospital in Johor in 1981. Currently, the chairman of Kpj Healthcare Berhad is Datuk Yusli Muhammad Yusof. Also, followed by the other position which are managing director, independent non-executive director, and also non-independent non-executive director. The Kpj integrate network, which includes more than 28 specialist hospital across the country. Whenever we go in Malaysia, we also can see all the KPJ's hospital around the Malaysia. For example, at the Ipoh Perak, at Selangor and etc. Okay, KPJ has a resilient business model drawn from our 38 years experience in the Malaysian private healthcare industry. Next, for the Kpj's healthcare business, consists of more than 28 specialist hospitals located throughout the nation. And then for the international level, 2 hospitals in Indonesia, a sizable share in a hospital in Bangkok, and a hospital in Bangladesh. Investment in a retirement and aged care resort and own senior living care SLC Center. Kpj's healthcare conducted by the chairman, which is Datuk Yusli Muhammad Yusof. The KPJ said that the Kpj Healthcare Berhad business is founded on the vision of being the preferred healthcare provider in the region, and the Kpj focus on delivering world-class quality healthcare service throughout our regional footprint across 5 countries, namely Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Bangladesh and Australia. By look at the vision, the Kpj's vision is the preferred healthcare provider, means the delivery of exceptional healthcare services, care and diagnosis to all of their patients is their primary objective. For the mission, deliver quality healthcare services, where they would prefer to improve the healthcare of those who represent as well as the communities in which they live.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama saya Nur Atika binti Abdul Latif. Nombor metrik saya 18BB04020. InsyaAllah hari ini saya akan berkongsi tentang financial ratio, liquidity ratio dan activity ratio. Apakah maksud financial ratio? Financial ratio merupakan satu kaedah membantu untuk menentukan kestabilan sesebuah company. Terdapat 4 perkara yang dibincangkan dalam financial ratio. Yang pertama ialah liquidity ratio, yang kedua activity ratio, yang ketiga leverage ratio dan yang keempat profitability ratio. Kita pergi kepada ratio yang pertama, iaitu liquidity ratio. Apakah yang dimaksudkan dengan liquidity ratio? Liquidity ratio adalah merupakan salah satu cara untuk company menentukan sama ada cash flow company tersebut cukup ataupun tidak untuk menampung short run liability yang ada dalam company. Seperti yang kita lihat, ini merupakan contoh current ratio company Kpj Healthcare Berhad. Pada tahun 2018, current ratio ia ialah 1.29 times, which mean the firm is stable because the ratio is more than 1. Maksud dia dekat sini, kalau ratio dia lebih daripada 1, bermaksud company itu mampu untuk menampung hutang yang ada dalam company. Pada tahun 2018, current ratio dia agak menurun kepada 0.98 times, which mean the firm is unable to pay the short term debt. Kita pergi kepada ratio yang seterusnya iaitu acid test ratio. Pada tahun 2018, acid test ratio-nya ialah 1.23 times, which mean the firm is stable because the ratio is more than 1. This indicates that the firm has more chance to pay creditor when payments are due. For every RM1 of current liability, the firm has 1.23 time to be ready for a payments. So, untuk tahun 2018, dia agak menurun kepada 0.94 times, which mean the firm has less chance to pay the creditor. Alright, we move to another slide, which is activity ratio. So what is activity ratio? Activity ratio is to see how efficient the firms in using and managing their asset to generate sales. So maksud dia dekat sini, activity ratio ni adalah satu cara di mana nak tengok company efficient tak company tersebut dalam mengurus asset mereka to generate sales. Okey, kita pergi kepada ratio yang pertama iaitu average collection period. So pada tahun 2018, ACP ialah 55.9 days. The firm is taking about 55.9 days to collect its receivable. This indicates that the firm is inefficient in managing their receivable. Kenapa tak efficient? Sebab kebiasaannya ACP mengambil masa dalam tempoh sebulan sahaja. So kalau lebih, dia tak berapa nak efficient. Pada tahun 2019 juga sama, kerana ACP dia ialah 55.7 days. So this indicate that the firm is inefficient in managing their receivable. Okay, kita pergi kepada ratio yang kedua iaitu inventory turnover. So pada tahun 2018, inventory turnover dia ialah 46.4 times, which mean the inventory of the firm turns about 46.4 times. This indicate that the firm effectiveness in managing their inventory. Maksud dia dekat sini, dalam masa setahun, Kpj restock inventory mereka sebanyak 46.4 kali, which mean dia effectiveness lah. So tak jauh beza dia pada tahun 2019 iaitu 46.5 times. Alright, kita pergi kepada ratio yang terakhir iaitu total asset turnover. So untuk tahun 2018, total asset turnover ialah 0.70 times. The firm turnover total asset 0.70 times in a year, which mean the firm is effectiveness in managing their total asset to generate sales. So untuk tahun 2019, total asset turnover ialah 0.60 times, which mean also effectiveness in managing their total asset to generate sales.
Okay, next we move to leverage ratio. Before that, my name is Nur Afifah Aina binti Norizan. Okay, leverage ratio is the proportion of debts that a bank has compared to its equal or capital. Leverage ratio is used to investigate how a firm is being financed and provide indicators as to the extent a firm is able to meet their interest payment. Maksudnya kat sini leverage ratio ni adalah comparison antara debt dan juga asset untuk tahu kemampuan sebuah company itu untuk bayar hutang. Under leverage ratio, there are debt ratio, long term debt ratio and interest and time interest earned. Okay, next, debt ratio. Okay, the formula for debt ratio is trade liabilities divided by total asset. So the debt ratio in 2018 is 0.5542 and in 2019 is 0.6576. Okay, so the debt ratio for both year is less than 1. Therefore, this indicates that the firm use less debt in both year to finance their asset. Okay, next is long-term debt ratio. The formula for long-term debt ratio is long-term liabilities divided by total asset. Okay, the long-term debt ratio for in 2018 is 0.3315 and in 2019 is 0.4575. Okay, the long-term debt ratio in both year is also less than 1, which indicates that the firm use less debt to finance the asset in the both years. Okay, the last calculation in under leverage ratio is time interest earned. The formula for time interest earned is earning before interest and tax divided by interest expenses. The time interest earned in 2018 is 3.67 times and in 2019 is 2.60 times. So this indicates that the firm has the ability to pay interest about 3.67 times the amount of interest in 2018 and 2.60 times the amount of interest in 2019. Okay, next we move to profitability. profitability ratio. Okay, profitability ratio are a class of financial metrics that used to assess a business ability to generate earnings. It is used to analyze the ability of management to generate adequate profit from use of firms to capital and asset. It measures how efficiently the firm's assets and capital to generate profit, and it determine a firm's bottom line. Okay, profitability ratio ni adalah digunakan untuk analis kemampuan sebuah management tu untuk generate profit daripada penggunaan capital dan juga aset. Under profitability ratio, there are net profit margin, gross profit margin, operating profit margin, return on equity, and return on asset. Okay, first, net profit margin before tax. The formula for net profit margin before tax is profit before tax divided by revenue time 100%. The net profit margin in 2018 is 7.67% and in 2019 is 7.64%. Therefore, for every RM1 of sales earned by the firm in 2018, it can generate RM7.67 of net profit, and for every RM1 of sales earned by the firm in 2019, it can generate RM7.64 of net profit. Okay, number 2, net profit margin after tax. The formula for net profit margin after tax is profit after tax divided by revenue times 100%. The net profit margin in 2018 is 5.53% and in 2019 is 6.29%. Okay, so for every RM1 of sales earned by Kpj Berhad in 2018, it can generate RM5.53 of net profit, and for every RM1 of sales earned by Kpj Berhad in 2019, it can generate RM6.29 of net profit. Calculation number 3 is gross profit margin. The formula for gross profit margin is gross profit divided by sales times 100%. The gross profit margin in 2018 is 30.79% and in 2019 is 30.80%. Okay, so for every RM1 of sales earned by the firm in 2018, it has earned RM30.79 of gross profit to cover its operating expenses in 2018, and for every RM1 of sales earned by the firm in 2019, it has earned RM30.80 of gross profit to cover its operating expenses in 2019. Next, operating profit margin. Okay, the formula for operating profit margin is operating profit divided by sales times 100%. The operating profit margin in 2018 is 8.84% and in 2019 is 10.44%. Okay, so in 2018, for every RM1 of sales earned by KPJ, it generates RM8.84 of operating profit, and in 2019, for every RM1 of sales earned by KPJ, it generates RM10.44 of operating profit. Okay, next, return on equity. The formula for return on equity is profit after tax divided by total shareholders' equity times 100%. Okay, in 2018, the return on equity is 8.71%, which indicates that the shareholders earn 8.71% return on their investment, and the return on equity in 2019 is 11.06%, which indicates that the shareholders earn 11.06% return on their investment. Okay, lastly, the calculation for return on asset. Okay, the formula for return on asset is profit after tax divided by total assets times 100%. Okay, the return on asset in 2018 is 3.88%. Therefore, it indicates that the firm is able to generate profit of RM3.88 out of RM1 invested in sales, and the return on asset in 2019 is 3.79%, which indicates that the firm or KPJ is able to generate profit of RM3.79 out of RM1 invested in sales.
Analysis financial ratio. Okay, the first one is liquidity ratio. Is a calculation of the capacity of operation to pay its short-term obligation, such as tax, salaries, and supplier fees. Okay. From overall liquidity ratio, it indicates that the Kpj Healthcare Berhad has a better performance in the ability to pay its short-term obligation in 2018 compared to 2019. The recommendation for liquidity ratio is lowering overhead and monitor company account receivable efficiently. Okay, next point is efficiency ratio. Calculate the capacity of a firm to leverage its asset and liability in order to produce revenue. Okay, that's mean from the overall efficiency ratio, it show that both year of 2018 and 2019 are balanced, meaning that KPJ are able to use company asset to generate income both in 2018 and 2019. Okay, the recommendation for efficiency ratio is increase the revenue and decrease the expenses. Okay, next point is leverage ratio is to assess the relative amount of debt liability that a business had acquired. Leverage ratio is used. Okay, from overall the leverage ratio, it show that the Kpj Healthcare Berhad has a bad performance in 2019 for the relative level of debt that the business incurred compared to year 2018, which show the lower debts that the company incurred. Okay, the recommendation for leverage ratio is increasing the revenue and increasing sustainability. Okay, the last point is profitability. Profitability ratio can be described as a series of measurements that are used to calculate the company ability to produce profit. Okay, from overall profitability ratio, it shown that Kpj has a better performance in the company's ability to generate profit in 2019 compared to 2018. Okay, the recommendation for profitability ratio is avoid markdown by improving inventory visibility and streamline the operation and reduce operating expenses. Okay, the conclusion of Kpj Healthcare Berhad. Okay, the first point is Kpj Healthcare Berhad looks like the company has promising facet. The business has to continue to see a large rise in its profit with the high rate in the investment but at a low return on investment. Okay, maksud dia kat sini Kpj Healthcare Berhad adalah syarikat yang mempunyai aspek yang menjanjikan perniagaan harus terus meningkat keuntungannya dengan kadar pelaburan yang tinggi, tetapi dengan pulangan pelaburan yang rendah. Okay, the next point is, does the company recent analysis estimate that the company will continue to experience a rise in its earning? Okay, maksud dia kat sini Kpj Healthcare Berhad ni dia dah menganggarkan bahawa syarikat dia akan terus mengalami kenaikan pendapatannya. Okay, and the third point is the company is one of the partner in serving to the rapidly rising of the industry of medical tourism, and the company aims to enhance the business contribution to the income of growth capacity. Key catalyst will be the new hospital, which will have almost cover internationally. Okay, maksud dia kat sini syarikat Kpj Healthcare Berhad ni dia adalah salah satu rakan kongsi dalam industri pelancongan perubatan yang berkembang pesat, dan syarikat ni juga dia bertujuan untuk meningkatkan sumbangan perniagaan terhadap pertumbuhan pertumbuhan utama. Okay. Maksud dia meningkatkan pertumbuhan utama supaya hospital baru ni akan Kpj Healthcare Berhad ni lah, dia akan dilindungi di peringkat antarabangsa. Okay, and the last point is this can attract international customer who typically prefer highly advanced medical care that have greater margin and higher contribution. Okay, maksud dia kat sini dapat menarik pelanggan antarabangsa yang biasanya akan memilih rawatan perubatan yang sangat maju kan. Okay, yang juga yang mempunyai margin dan sumbangan yang lebih tinggi. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.